Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining from the Parent Hub. And a very special welcome and thank you to Shannon for joining us. Shannon's from Ubuntu Baba, the founder of Ubuntu Baba Baby Carriers. And Shannon, I have to tell you that for the last 5 months, Ubuntu Baba Carriers have changed my life and also made it possible just to parent 2 young kids and a very, very difficult baby. So thank you for taking the time to chat to me today, and thank you for your business and just your passion to help parents transition into that new stage with their baby.
Oh, thank you. It's always so nice to hear. I see him in the background there as well.
My husband's just taking him out. Yeah, he was a very, very difficult baby. And basically he's been living in the Ubuntu Baba. So it's changed our lives completely. And before we get started, one question that I ask all of my hosts on here, or all of the people that come on, is what's one thing that you wish that all mums knew?
Yeah, I wish all moms knew about the power of meditation and how that can really support them, just like having a super simple practice, which I can obviously talk more about. But yeah, that's definitely the thing. I thought about that question a lot. And I think that's something that really is just such a simple tool. It can take such a little bit of time and can just really kind of support that brain state that a mom is in, straight after being thrown into having a new baby and everything that comes with it, and just having that moment to ground and take a few minutes to just sit down and breathe and find that space for herself, I think is super helpful. It helped me a lot.
I love that. And I wasn't expecting to go here, but I'd love to know a bit about your journey with meditation and how you got into that.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about meditation before I became a mom. And had quite a difficult journey. And I think it was around about when my son was 9-10 months old, where I started to kind of look for tools to support myself. Like I'd gone through the biggest part of my depression and kind of coming out the other side. And I discovered this course on Kundalini meditation specifically, and I started doing it. And it was a short practice of just a few minutes a day. And yeah, I couldn't believe how, by just sitting down, and it didn't even have to be the same time every day. It could just be like find 5 minutes where my baby was asleep and just literally like drop to the floor, close my eyes and concentrate on my breathing. And doing that for 5 minutes would just completely calm my nervous system and kind of just give me this tiny little space for myself where my eyes were closed and nobody else was around me or needing me. And it was great. And that, doing that, and over a period of 30 days, which was the course that I was on, really helped me to realize, wow, like such a simple practice can really support me and just give me a clearer mind so that I can make better decisions in other aspects of my life, So that was kind of where my journey started. And now I understand like a lot more about like a mom's brain chemistry and all of that stuff, coming into this whole new world, and just understanding how to breathe better and, how to take deeper breaths and how to, and as well, no money spent really. You just can drop to the floor and breathe. And, we try all these different things and we spend money on so many different things and medicines and this, that, the rest, where we've got so much inside of us that we just don't know how to access, So yeah, for me now, I still do, it's like 5 minutes a day, sometimes longer if I can find the space. But because it's, I'm so well practiced in it now, I can get into that space of being like in my meditation space very quickly. So I don't need as much time. But if I do have the space to do a longer practice, then I definitely do that.
That is incredible. And I absolutely love that story. A bit of my own. So I love work on the nervous system. And I think that it's so important. It's something I really advocate for. And like you said, it's free. It's, it takes a bit of time. And I want to point out, you say like when you have space. For me, when it really, really counted. So as I said, the last few months for me have just been like, my baby was really difficult. He had colic and very bad allergies. And I didn't get that space. I wasn't getting that space. And actually, when I changed my mind about that and waiting for the space for it to happen, I almost used his, and it sounds so weird, but like I used those moments with him when he was crying and screaming and like I could not control that moment to really go inside. And I use those moments as my meditative practice. And I promise you, that's what got me through those few months. You know, day and night, I had a baby that we didn't know had allergies. And he would just scream. Nothing I could do would help. And I just used to have him on me and like bounce on my ball and just breathe and go inwards and use that moment to really focus on my own nervous system and staying as calm as I could, to not
kind of baby feels that.
Sorry?
Your baby your baby feels that. They're feeding off your energy, you know, so that really helps to regulate them as well. It's not just their temperature regulating, it's their nervous system as well.
Exactly. And for my other kids as well, you know, it helped me. I mean, I would do it all night and in the mornings. And by the time my kids got home from school, I felt like I did have a bit more mental energy and physical energy to be with them. So I love that topic, and I could go on about that forever. I would love to know a little bit about how you started Ubuntu Baba. Did it come from that place of passion or business or a bit of both?
Yeah, so I knew nothing about baby wearing, baby carriers, that whole world before. I mean, even when I was pregnant, it didn't really cross my space, you know. And yeah, it was about 3 weeks. My son was about 3 weeks old, where a friend came over and she had gifted me a stretchy wrap. So it's just that long piece of fabric, you know, that you wrap around your body and you put your baby. And I remember looking at it and just being like, oh, whatever, like, you know, smiling happy mom on the packaging. And I was just like sleep deprived beyond, like motherhood had been a total slap in the face for me. Nothing went the way I had planned. So I felt like a complete failure by 3 weeks. But I remember the moment where I like followed the tutorial and I put him in the wrap and I put him on me and he just instantly calmed down. And that was his first like 3-hour daytime nap. And I mean, those 3 hours at three weeks old, and I just kept him on me the whole time. And I remember going, what on earth? Like, why? Like, I had the sense of relief, but I also had the sense of, why am I only finding out about this thing now? Like, I had all the people, I was so supported in my whole birth journey. Like, why did nobody say, hey, guess what? A baby carrier is going to change your life, or baby wearing is going to give you, you know, a set of hands so that when your baby's sleeping, you can actually go make a wee. You can make yourself a cup of warm tea. You can do the things, you know, that you're craving so badly to do. And yeah, I just remember saying to my mom, I was like, geez, I wish someone just gave me this when I left the hospital in that care bag, or like put a flyer in so I knew about it. So that was kind of where the journey started. And then, yeah, he outgrew the stretchy wrap, like amazing product, but he outgrew it. And I started realizing that was coming up. And I started going out there and looking for different baby carriers. And I realized like, I can't find anything suitable that was like meeting all my needs, you know. So that's kind of where the journey started. I realized that, you know, parents must need this. Like, there must be a need for this out there if I'm needing it, especially work at home moms. And I kind of just started the journey there. I went out and went on the whole research mission about baby wearing and why it's so helpful and useful, researched fabrics, all the different brands. I bought all the different baby carriers. And then, yeah, kind of that's how the journey started, of the idea. And then I kind of just got lucky because my dad is in backpack manufacturing. That's his business.
Amazing.
So buckles, webbing, all the bits and pieces there. And they can make the patterns. And yeah, he's excellent at making different patterns. So I went to him with all of this and I just said, this is what I want to do, mainly for myself, but this is a gap as well. Like, my entrepreneurial brain was like going, if I can make something good here for me, then I'm sure others would want it as well. So yeah, that's where it started.
Amazing. And you spoke a bit about we know the benefits to moms, because for the first time you can do something with 2 hands. Like you said, you can go to the toilet, you can, you know, make yourself a cup of tea. But there is also a lot of research and science behind why it's good for babies, and why it's the right thing for babies. Could you speak on that a bit?
Yeah, so look, I did a lot of research when I started, because I wanted to just know for myself, you know, and I'm 8 years down the line now, but what I've realized is, like, biologically, like just nature wise, if you think about it, you know, your baby's been inside your body for 9 months. plus minus, and they're really happy inside there. And then what happens is that they come out onto the outside of our bodies. Now they're here, and all we want to do is put them in the pram, put them in the baby baskets, rock them and put them in the cots. And we're wondering why that doesn't work. Why does the baby keep waking up? And it's just such a shock to the system for the baby to just come into the world and just be expected to, feed, wee, poo, sleep. Like that's just all they do. And people are like, but why aren't they sleeping? And it's because for me, my research supports this as well. But as well as just seeing like all these moms out in the world that's using our carriers, and the testimonials and the feedback we get is, as soon as they feel that skin to skin, as soon as they're on the mom, they just calm down, even on the dad or on the granny. And they just want to feel that human connection and that human touch, and they want to hear a heartbeat. So like biologically, and it just the way nature goes, it makes sense that the baby would benefit by being closer, especially to the person that they were inside of. They start to get to know the mom's smell. The mom can also read more about, read into the baby's cues much easier, because the baby's right there, and that helps the baby. So the baby also learns like, oh, when I do this, obviously not logically, but when I do this, my mom does that. And so there's like it's almost like a relationship building thing. And it really helps that bonding time, which you get such a little small moment there in that fourth trimester, those 3 months, in hindsight, they go so fast. So to be able to have your baby on you and not just be glued to the couch, it's benefit for both, of course, but also with regards to breastfeeding, your milk production, there's some research that says it can help increase milk production when your baby's on you. There's so many benefits that you can Google, but yeah, for me, it's just that it just makes biological sense.
I love it. And I think the other way around as well, it actually makes biological sense for the mum to be so close to her baby. And I feel like it's a bit of like modern day life, that these ideas that we should be putting our baby down to sleep, or that we should be in the workforce already, or that we should have the separation and not. I mean, I know with all 3 of my kids, I get anxiety when I'm away from them for that beginning time. And I thought that there was something wrong with me, but I think biologically we're wired to be like that, so that we can care for those babies. But then it is just this modern day life that kind of forces us out of that and thinks that there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The system, I mean, there's no village, where's the village? And because there isn't, that's why it's like, okay, well, I can't do this all on my own. So I have to find other ways, I can't constantly have my baby on me. Like, what do people expect, Like, I also need my time. Well, that's what baby wearing helps us with,
Exactly.
It gives back to us.
Amazing. And I would like to know, because I mean, obviously there are critics out there and there are the arguments about it. So I'd love to know the point that it makes bad habits, or it forms bad sleeping habits. Is that true? Is there a time that we should be stop baby wearing and transition into putting them down and getting that separation?
Yeah, huge topic. So for me, it depends on the person's definition of bad habits, So for me, I wore my son in a baby carrier from when I discovered the stretchy wrap until he was about just before he was 3 years old. It was around about just before he turned 3 that he was like, when I would bring the baby carrier, the stage 2, he would be like, no, he's not going in there, because I would put him on my back. And I was like, cool, no problem. So from that point is where I decided, okay, cool, well, now I'm going to lie with him in his bed and help him fall asleep like that. But at that point as well, around age 2, age 3, I remember there was a lot of eyes on me now, because I'm wearing this bigger baby, in my circle of friends. And people were like, well, why do you always put him in there to put him to sleep? Can't you just put him in the room and he can fall asleep on his own? I'm like, I don't know, but this takes 2 minutes. So why would I change a system that works? Because like, this is how he goes to sleep and he loves it. Like, it's easy. He's 1 year old, he's 2 years old. It doesn't matter. He jumps in the carrier, he's tired. He knows it's bedtime now. It's nap time now. And he falls asleep. There's no fighting it. This is easy for me. So that was like my challenge at that point, is that people just couldn't understand like why I wouldn't start this transition period. And then when I did start the transition period based on him, when he decided, it was also like, I said, okay, cool, I'm going to read your story and lie with you. And that was normal for him. So again, at that point, I was a lot of friends that were like, yeah, but you know, my daughter, you have to go lie down with her, and my daughter just goes to sleep. But then it's like, well, does she really go to sleep? Because when I'm at your house, she doesn't. Like half an hour, she's up and down the stairs, you know. So people say this. It doesn't. Like for me, at 3 years old, I was lying with him, and maybe it would take 20 minutes to half an hour on a bad night to help him fall asleep, lying with him, tickling his back, reading 2 stories maybe. He's now 8 years old, and I still, every single night, read him a story. We have our routine. I read him a story. We lie in the bed together. He says, good night, mommy, rolls over, put my arm around him, and in 2 minutes, he's out. His lights out. Like, that's not a bad habit for me, in my opinion. I don't feel like I've formed a bad habit. I feel like I formed a bond and a relationship, and my child feels safe falling asleep. He can go to his granny and grandpa's house, and it doesn't have to be the same. He knows that's granny and grandpa's house. So I think like this thing about bad habits is really like, there is no norm. There's no average, you know, like people are like, oh, that's a huge baby. He was born at what a tiny baby. But there is no average. Or did somebody say that 3 kilograms is the average baby? Like, did somebody say, oh, by 3 years old, they should be falling asleep and sleeping through the night? Like, as adults, we don't even do that. Like, so I think that conversation is such a big conversation. But for me, I feel like it also goes with the attachment to the parenting conversation, is that I feel like attachment parenting is a lifestyle. It's not just the kangaroo care, or you know, the 4th trimester or the first year of the baby's life that they require that. Like for me, attachment parenting is me meeting my child's needs at the age where they are. You know, I'm okay with my child coming to sleep in my bed at night if that's what they require. If they've had a bad day at school and they're needing more mom time and they want to sleep the whole night cuddling me in my bed, I don't have a problem with that. So that's not a bad sleep habit for me. So I think that's, you know, there's so many ways to do it. And for me, I'm like, work with what works for your family system. And that is meeting the needs of your child in a healthy way, you know?
Yeah, but as you're talking, you know, I was thinking about my first son. I didn't know all of these things about baby carrying, and I was listening to people that had kids before me, most of them from the generation behind me. And they were saying, you know, you got to put your baby to sleep, you got to put them in their crib. And bedtime and the topic of sleep became quite an anxious thing for myself as well as my son. And he's 5 years old. He still struggles to sleep. He just has a bit of a busy mind. And for a long time, you know, it did become that thing. And particularly when I had my daughter and I have a baby crying in the next room, and I'd be like, Brody, you need to go to sleep now. You need to calm down. I'm only going to be here for 2 more minutes, you know? And it became a fight. And thinking about and playing on what you said there, I think that's just a beautiful transition of, you don't have to really wait for him to go to sleep, because that is life. We do have other things to be doing. So if we can wear them for that time, that sleep doesn't have that negative connotation or that anxiety, and then it doesn't form that resentment. That's the good habit, you know, that's what we're aiming for.
Absolutely. And it's so wild that that's one of our biggest questions. It's like, how, you know, when do I need to stop baby wearing?
Yeah.
When, you know, like, when do you need to stop making your child feel safe? You know, it's up to the situation. And it's like, it's not to say your child's never going to be able to sleep on their own. It's almost the opposite, you know, because they feel safe. And there is studies that go into, like, babies that are worn are calmer babies. They cry less. Because they feel that safety. And so they do become, like, people like, oh, they're going to be such a mommy's boy. Well, no, he's not a mommy's boy. Like, he goes out into the world, he's confident, you know, and you can't fast forward to that and see it. Obviously, there's a whole lot of other circumstances that will support that. But sleep is one of the biggest things that parents struggle with in those first 4 years of life. Like, people think it goes away. It doesn't. Like, it's a like you said, it's creating that groundwork for your brain to understand, oh, sleep time is calm time. My mom's here for me, my dad's here for me, whoever is here for me. And there's this tool, this baby carrier that can just be put in, that becomes the sleep association with whoever is actually wearing me, or whoever's reading me a story and lying with me in bed, The other thing of that is that people always say, oh, but what about when he's 13 or 14? You don't want him sleeping in your bed. Like, show me a 14-year-old that wants to sleep in the bed with their mom every night. Like, it's not common. And if it is, there's probably something else going on. It's not got to do with the fact that you read them a story and maybe lay with them for 5 minutes every night. There's something else going on then, because they do find their independence. And it's also got to do with what they've got going on in their life, and what's happening, in their world. Like, if my son's excited for something the next day, if there's a kid's party or whatever, and he's like, Mom, it's 8 o'clock, come, I want to go to bed. Then my bedtime routine with him is literally like 3 minutes. He's choosing the shortest storybook. He wants me to read it. He lies down. Good night, Mommy. Goes to sleep. Like, I don't have to do anything. Where there's other parents, like, not saying that my way is the only way, but this way the system works for me. And there's other parents who know that's like, God, he won't go to bed and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he doesn't feel safe. You've forced him to go to sleep on his own since he was 6 months old, because you did this method, And so, like, this makes sense for me because it's just natural. And I feel like a child should be able to have their parent to help them fall asleep until it makes sense for them and they aren't scared to go to sleep on their own.
Well, exactly. And I think that speaks again to what you were saying, attachment theory, is that the safer that they feel for that period of time, the sooner that they are able to then release you a little bit, and not need you, because they know that when they do need you, you're going to be there. And through the work that I do as well, I find that mums that don't have, or mums and kids or dads and babies who don't have that secure attachment, they're the ones that at 14, 15, 16 are still having those dynamics or those struggles. So it all goes there. And I also do want to say, just for a bit of a promotion of Ubuntu Baba, because I think one of the biggest things, and this did happen to me with my other kids, is I didn't have the Ubuntu Baba. I had another baby carrier, and when they got big, it does start to put pressure and weight on your body. And it did start to really, I still actually have a very hurt chest from carrying my son until he was older. So I think that's also part of the argument, and part of where things have gone wrong is that it's detrimental to a mum's body, where I do think, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's also for me why, because we often get the question, why don't you have an all-in-one baby carrier? Like, why do we have to buy two?
Yes.
And it's not just the baby that grows, the mom's body also requires more support. So like the postnatal body of the mom, I mean, it's been through hell. Like, it needs time to recover. It needs support in different places. And then as the baby gets bigger, if your body's taking more strain, it's because the carrier is not holding the weight as it should. That's the point of the carrier. Like, you shouldn't be wearing a baby carrier and holding your baby. Like, you're either using the product wrong, or the product is not supporting the baby the way it should. And that is also why I made the stage 2, because your body is different now. You're carrying a bigger baby. The baby can also hold its own weight now, where it was like a little sack of potatoes before, was like just like doof on you, it's a dead weight, which is like different to the toddler body that's like wriggling around and things like that. So, and also being able to put a baby on your back at that point, your body's a lot stronger, you've got more core control going on, and it's so much more comfortable. So yeah, I definitely agree there. Like, the product needs to support the body, and if you baby wearing and it's putting a strain on your body, like, that's going to have other chain reaction effects on you as well. So definitely don't baby wear if it's hurting you, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for this conversation. I could actually chat to you forever. We're going to have to do another chat about meditation for mums, because I think it's a huge topic. But thank you for joining me today. And again, just for the business that you're doing and for being so passionate about helping parents. I know that you've seen we have a walk-in group that, 75% of the mums are wearing Ubuntu Baba, which I absolutely love to see. So
it's so amazing to see. Yeah, I love it. I love seeing that. It's so nice. Like, for me as well, I I get so sad almost because I didn't have a stage 1 until my son was 3 months old, 4 months, oh, sorry, 6 months old. Yeah. Because I started designing it around when he was 3 months, and it was by the age of 6 months that I had the first prototype. And so now I'm like, oh, I wish I had a stage 1 for him when he was a newborn, because I see all these little...
You need new babies.
Oh gosh, no. But I wear everybody else's babies, so that's fine.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
So thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
thank you so much, and hope to connect again, and we'll definitely see you more on the group. I know that you've given a 10% discount on all Ubuntu Baba or on all Ubuntu Baba products for the followers. So anyone that would like to use that, you're welcome. So thank you for that as well. And I hope to connect again soon.
Cool. Thanks, Christy.
Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day, and everyone have a wonderful day.